Okay, so my name is Leonie. I'm 34. I'm from Belgium, and I was vegan for 12 years plus, actually. I started it in 2002, 2003. I'm saying that time more or less because I did it like gradually at that time. Like I first would cut out red meat and then chicken and then fish and then about, at the time it was 2003, I would be fully vegan until the end of 2015. That's when I finished, when I was pretty much dying. I realized a friend actually saved me. And then I started eating meat again, and it's been 2 years and a half. And I still have a lot of damage to, I mean, I can go deeper into that later, but I'm still recovering from all the damage done by all these years of veganism. Anyway, so how did I get into that? Because that's a little bit weird. I can't remember that as well because, I mean, in 2002, 2003, there was not that much internet. Like, we didn't have YouTube and all these things. So I think it's more like it was in magazines. It was like the media that was like playing on it a little bit. And at that time, I had taken antibiotics for acne. I was 19, I had a severe acne, and my dermatologist, she gave me Accutane. And unfortunately, the Accutane did a lot of damage to my liver and my intestines, so my digestion. And I started to experience a lot of digestive issues, and I don't know, somehow it was already like in the media that meat was bad, red meat causes cancer, and it is true, like when you start, and you know, that was like the first thing that came to my mind, like, okay, I'll just cut out the milk and the meat, and big mistake. I started eating more bread instead, which was actually the real problem of my gut issues, but you know, the thing is that the first year or years, you might actually feel better when you go vegan. Why? I mean, if you go cooked vegan, because you start cutting out all the junk food, you know, that's the initial high you get. You know, you stop drinking Coca-Cola maybe, or that's what I did anyway. I became much more conscious about my diet because I was sick from pharmaceutical drugs and a really bad diet before, because before that I was on a really bad diet with sugary cereals, lots of soda, lots of sugar, lots of Mars bars, Snickers bars. So you know, I didn't have any limits to my diet. And so anyway, I guess in my head I thought I felt a little bit better, but over the years, like from 2002, 2003 till 2009, I did become gradually sicker and sicker and sicker, but I didn't make the link that it was because I was on a vegan diet. I just thought, well, you know, it's because of the drugs, or I'm doing something wrong, or my body is wrong, or I didn't, and it was so ingrained in my mind. I guess that's why I got stuck in it for so long, is that I was so convinced that the meat was dangerous, because that's what they kept saying in the media, right? Like on the news, there would now and then come like the item or the topic that studies show that red meat causes cancer, but of course they would do these studies with, like, you know, crap meat, you know, like the really bad quality meat or something like that, or would just
It's even
lie.
worse than that. They inject rats with cancer, basically, and say that the red meat causes cancer because they
Yeah.
feed the rats the red meat. But they inject
Oh,
them with the cancerogenic
yeah,
stuff. It's the biggest
I
joke.
heard, yeah, I heard a few of these studies, or when I saw them, how they conducted them, like they weren't even feeding them real milk. They were like feeding these rats like casein only, but that's not milk, you know? And then, or like some kind of derivative of milk, and then they would say, oh, milk is bad, or something like that, but that's not milk, so it's so fake. And also, in the China study or something, they wanted to say that these rats got cancer, but what they did not say is that all the rats who ate meat, they lived twice as long as the ones who were vegan. And the vegan rats did not have cancer simply because they didn't live long enough to get cancer, you know. They died halfway. anyways, as I was saying, I was getting sicker and sicker and sicker. I was going to spiritual. I guess it kind of goes together, you know, the veganism and spirituality. Because when you're sick, you start. I mean, at that age, I already realized the pharmaceutical industry, they're not going to help me because they were the ones that actually destroyed me to begin with, right? So I thought, I can't go to a doctor. I have to do things on my own. Veganism, spirituality, or Reiki didn't do anything, right? And then, unfortunately, someday in 2009, I guess, 2010, there was internet. I was on Facebook, YouTube, and I saw Freely the Banana Girl. And I was like, wow, raw foods, you know, this is surely going to save my life. Because live foods, live body, or raw foods, or whatever. And they looked good at that time because they were the first years on it, right? And I was like, wow, you know, that girl looks amazing. You should see her now, by the way. She looks awful. And so does Durian Rider. They look horrible after just 8 years. But I thought, you know, because I was so sick already with all the beans and all the grains, I was really sick. I wasn't getting in any good fats. My digestion was so horrible. I was struggling with fibromyalgia after all these years of cooked veganism, you know, like, and so I was like, okay, let's do cleanses. Let's do raw foods. And I did that from 2010 or 2009 to 2011. And obviously that was smoothies of 10 bananas. that would just put me into a sugar coma. I mean, I can't believe I did all that. And I still thought that something was wrong with my body. Because as soon as you went on their websites telling about how horrible you were doing, it's like, you're doing it wrong, obviously. You know, so I was like, yeah. And I had really low self-esteem at that point, and I was really confused because I already had a history of so much veganism and malnutrition, so my brain wasn't working anymore, you know. I wasn't thinking clear anymore. I just didn't have any, and the internet was full of bullshit. That vegan, I mean, it was really on the rise, and it still is, unfortunately. So I went with it, and I kept trying, and I kept thinking, I'm doomed. Something is wrong with me because everybody else is doing great, and I'm not. You know, I'm doing really, really bad. And then beginning 2011, unfortunately, it got worse. I met Dr. Robert Morse, he's just such a, I can't say, I don't know how to explain that, because I'm not sure if what he does, if he knows what he's doing is wrong, or if he actually believes his own bullshit. Because the theory that he gives on how to clean and heal a human body by moving lymph with fruits, it sounds very nice to someone who's desperate and sick. It sounds nice. And if you do not have any background on nutrition or how the body works, then it also sounds like, yeah, you know, that sounds good. I mean, it's not like I could go back to the medical system, because the medical system, they didn't, you know, they made me sick all the time. And he looked like this old wise man, you know, and he was like, and it's always like these cults are always mixed with spirituality, like the promise of an ascension to a better world or something like that. And so I was done with that. I was like, yeah, let's get out of here. And, worst, I mean, the whole vegan journey was horrible, but those were the worst, darkest years of my life. No kidding. You don't want to know what constant fasting on lemon juice or watermelon juice or like these freaking herbs, what that does to your body or to your mind. I became permanently psychotic. I saw hell. I heard voices. I moved to Spain. I moved to Chiang Mai to get the fruits. You know, I didn't do anything all day because I was so tired. Because it was detox, you know, because I remember everyone in that group is doing horribly, but they all think they're detoxing. So they all think they're on a path to some kind of glorious ascension of health, but they're not, unfortunately. And I had many blackouts during that time because I was so miserable. I still was blaming myself. That's the whole thing that now when I look back on these 12 years that I'm thinking, how did you not? I was so brainwashed, so convinced that meat was bad and veganism was good that I could not get out of that mind frame. And I was trapped in this whole, you know, meat is bad and veganism is good. And so no matter what kind of veganism I tried, and I tried it extensively, I mean 12 years, I did all these things for several years. And I kept falling apart and I kept blaming myself, you know, and I kept like thinking like, this is me. My body is, oh my God. And on top of that, and I started to binge, obviously. Everybody in that community binges, by the way, on cooked foods and on meat probably once in a while. I mean, I did. They just won't tell you. I saw a few of these YouTubers in real life in Chiang Mai, and when I heard the stories of what they told me behind the scenes, of how they struggled, and then next day they make a video of how perfect the fruitarian lifestyle is and how great they feel, then you're like, oh, bunch of liars, you know, they're all lying. But they have to, because to them it's a religion almost, because you are a superior human being when you do not eat other animals, because then you're harming other animals. And so I felt so like shit. I'm not going to be able to be developed spiritual human being because my body is falling apart on this diet, no matter what I try, because I just have a whole history, decade or more. And I was like, you know, I felt constantly like bogged down and drained, and it's actually really, it's a movement that brings a lot of pain and brings a lot of, but it's inside. People don't show you that, how they feel inside. They make videos of how great it is and preferably flaunting their bodies and pretending that life is, but it's acting, all of it. Because I've seen them.
That's why they seem so fake. Can you share?
But they are fake.
Yeah, they are.
They are fake.
But you can tell by watching the videos, they're incredibly fake.
Oh yeah. It's only the brainwashed themselves that don't see it.
Can you share some of those stories?
What?
Can you share some of those stories, what the people said?
Oh,
just shortly, something.
Yeah, there was a girl that she was, I will not call her name because she's like now opening a retreat, and she's a detoxification specialist with Dr. Morse. But yeah, she told me at night she was on the floor crying, dreaming of food, trying to down another jug of orange juice because, you know, fruits were the, and that's the horrible thing. Fruits are the high frequency foods from the gods so that we can become God beings. Nah, shit. These people were crying on the floor, pulling their heads out. Every time they pass a stand with cooked food, they go crazy. Okay. They want to eat the food, but they just don't let them because then they would become an inferior human being. But yeah, they couldn't, also a lot of people in these groups, they could not work anymore. They were depressed. They hate the whole world because nobody understands them. They're not, these meat eaters, they don't know what it's like to be such an elevated human being and have such a huge conscience about how to not kill other human beings. I mean, they're killing themselves and they're killing everybody around them, but not the chickens and the pigs, you know? No. They prefer killing their own kind. It's a nightmare because, I mean, there were times where I was really angry when I came out of that brainwashed situation. Because these people, like in these detox groups, right, they share with each other the pain they go through, you know? Like I'm depressed. I can't. The pictures they show after, like for example, the Master Fast. The Master Fast is created by a student of Dr. Robert Morse, and that's 100-day dry fasting with lemon juice and grape juice, and then some psyllium husk in it.
I met
100 days.
somebody who did around 90 days of a grape fast, was pretty much almost dead.
Oh yeah, yeah. But you should see like these pictures that these people post on these groups after they completed that. It is horrifying. That is Auschwitz. You know, if you've seen pictures of people, that's just skin and bones, right? And they are completely brainwashed. They applaud that in the group. Oh my God, you have lost all your bad meat muscles. Like, what the hell? From now on, you can live from plasma, or you can become a fruitarian. Oh my God, you're just gonna ascend to the golden world so fast. Yeah, they're going to their graves, and it's going to unfortunately be a very painful life ahead. Because a lot of these people, you start struggling. I started struggling on that diet with Dr. Robert Morse, the fruit fast. The thing is, the fruit acids, they sort of like melt the myelin sheets around your nerves, right? You're not getting any fat. You're not getting anything in to insulate your nerves. You're not getting anything in to grow or maintain your brain. No cholesterol, no nothing.
It also robs it from the cholesterol and the fat, so
Oh,
you
yeah.
lose it also.
It melts. Yeah, the fruit acids actually melts the positive fat in your body and in your nerves, and it results in chronic, very painful nerve pain, which I'm still struggling with 2 years and a half after. I'm still struggling with nerve pain. It's peripheral neuropathy, you know, it's very painful. It makes you go psychotic, which is what I experienced a lot on that diet in these 5 years. Furthermore, I had major bone loss. I'm crippled now. You know, I'm on disability. I was not on disability before. Well, I wasn't doing too great either. You know, before doing fruitarianism, because I was already sick with the pharmaceuticals, with the heavy metals, with the years of cooked grains and beans. That wasn't doing me any good. You know, but I'm now crippled. Like, I'm better, you know. I'm doing better, but the recovery is very slow because, hey, you know, I'm 34. I'm not 5 anymore. Like, bones don't regrow so fast anymore at that time. And also another thing is that meat actually contains special amino acids that help with the chelation of heavy metals out of your body. If you do not have meat, vegans, for example, they are much more prone to accumulate a lot of heavy metals into their bones, into their muscles, into their nerves, which is what I actually experienced. Because when I came off in the end of 2015, when I came off of the raw vegan or vegan diet, I had a hair test done, and they had never seen so many heavy metals in someone's hair. I was loaded with the stuff. And mind you, I did nothing else. I'm constantly cleansing and chlorella juice, or no, chlorella pills and cilantro juice. And then I did nothing but cleanse and clean on that diet of Dr. Robert Morse for 5 years. And I was the most toxic, sick person you'll ever meet. You know, I was dying. I was really close to... I remember one of the last days when I was on that diet, I was laying in the bathtub. I was freezing cold all day, every day. Freezing cold. Obviously, no fat, nothing.
A
You
lot
destroy...
of those plants are really high in heavy metals, the toxic ones.
Oh, yeah.
All that
Absolutely.
green stuff, the green smoothies, juices, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And it's the meat that actually contains the sulfur and the amino acids like carnitine and carnosine. They help with the elimination of heavy metals. But anyways, so my bones are full of heavy metals. It takes years to get that out because it's grown into my bones after all these years, you know. So it's my teeth. I had to have them all redone. They were all rotting at the roots because of the fructose. Damn it! There's nothing of use that your body has with fructose. Okay. Fruits, I'm now on a diet where I eat cooked vegetables, which for me works. I find them quite, I'm not a purely carnivore. Obviously I eat meat every day. Um, but glucose and fructose to me is completely different. Fructose to me is poison. I cannot look at fruit and I get this nerve pain again. So like I'm not even going near that aisle on the. No, no, I will never ever eat fruit again in my entire life. But I don't know. I made so many changes in the subject that I don't know where I'm going now. Where was I?
Dr. Morse, that's where you were at.
Well, anyway, I also had a few friends at the last days when I was at the end of 2015. I was laying in a bathtub. I could not lay down on anything hard because my bones would hurt. I was freezing cold all day, every day. I could not digest even a head of, or like a little piece of broccoli. I could not digest anything anymore except fruit. Fruit absolutely destroys your liver, it destroys your pancreas, it destroys your digestive fire. It took me 2 years, definitely, and I'm still struggling sometimes, but now I can eat, I can digest meat and vegetables and everything that I'm eating currently. But
one question about the cold. So for a healthy European, when they go to Thailand, it's unbearable, the weather. But for somebody who's starving, how was it for you guys there? You enjoyed the heat, right? So it wasn't bad at all.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
Okay.
It was sometimes even a little bit hot, but if it would become like 20 degrees, it would be chilly, But I'm in Belgium. 20 degrees is like hot, so it's a problem. If that was one of the worst. I could never. It doesn't matter what I did, If I would be in a sauna or if I would stand under a hot shower for an hour in my country, being a fruitarian, I would be still ice cold. It was like in my bones, You're so freaking cold because these foods are cooling, Yeah, nightmare. I had a few friends when I came out, when I made public that I'm no longer doing veganism or following Dr. Morse, and I was actually no longer endorsing it, and I was coming out about the problems that it created for me. I had a few friends who were still following him that were also like, yeah, I think it's not doing me any good. But the problem is that they could not, they were suffering so much trying to eat other things. These fruits had destroyed their digestive system and their body so much that they could not eat an egg or like a little bit of cooked vegetables. They just couldn't eat anything. They were in so much pain and they just couldn't handle it. Because I remember it was hell for 2 years for me to come out of there. That was my digestive system. My organs were so destroyed. I mean, you're not getting in any protein, so you're not keeping the structure of your organs anymore. You're melting your entire body with sugar. It's glycation. You're glycating. You're melting your protein structures in your body, your bones, your organs, your skin, your eyes, your hair. My hair was falling out. Everything was rotting and just falling out, or just losing integrity and structure. As did my digestive juices. They were just pretty much gone. No digestive fire, and I had a few friends that still are following the raw fruit diet, not because they want to, but because they have to. They feel like they have to. They don't have the courage to come out of it. They don't have the courage to go through this hell for several months or years to rebuild the body and to feel the actual pain, because that's another thing, when you're on this fruitarian diet, you become numb. You become cold and frozen and numb, and you're not really aware of the damage that you're doing to your body while you're on it. However, as soon as you start eating other foods, like, cooked vegetables or some meat, that's when the pain comes out. That's when you realize, oh, my body is destroyed, But they switch it in their minds, and they try to ease their mind by saying, yeah, but that's because the cooked food or the meat is toxic. That's why I'm reacting to that. But that's bullshit, It's the fruits that's destroying them, but they're going back to the fruit all the time because they have no option anymore. It's obligatory. They have to go back to the fruit because that's all they can handle. And it is destroying them. It's really sad because these people, you don't want to know how weak it makes you in your mind and your body, this fruit shit. I don't wish it on anyone, and I really wish I could save everyone from it. And I wish that Dr. Mars would just pack his bags and get away from this planet because he's really he's destroying a lot of people's lives, you know. Because like I said, you know, you don't come out of there. Like it depends on how long you've been doing it for, obviously. And obviously, I came from a past of a lot of sickness already, so I didn't come there on my healthiest. But for me, it's going to take a decade or more to come out of there. That's serious, you know. That's not just like that can ruin someone's life. And when I see the ones that are following him, they are like young girls, and obviously everybody is a little bit sick because pharmaceutical industry and the food industry is making it so, right? And they're all looking to feel better, and then they're going into these raw vegan, fruitarian directions, and it's just, God, you don't want to know how much worse you're making it, you know?
Did you guys take supplements and all kinds of stuff?
No, we didn't, like, in the fruitarian world, it's believed that everything is in the fruits. They believe that all the fat and the protein and the minerals, that's all in the fruit. The fruit is the food of the gods.
Not even B12?
No.
Wow.
No. It's, yeah, but that's the thing, you know, when afterwards we did take herbs. Like Dr. Morse, he recommends herbs because, yeah, he says that herbs have certain frequencies that have the same frequencies as your organs or something like that. And I mean, I think that herbs can be sometimes maybe healing, but I don't use them. I've not used them since. I was taking so many herbs for 5 years and I was just dying all the time. So they weren't really saving my life at all, you know. It was really meats that, and for me, cooking my food a little bit so that I can become warm again was what saved my life. But that's also the trick with these communities is that, and especially with Dr. Robert Morse, is that if you start seeing the cracks and you start to feel shit and you start to go into like really into the more scientific data about what a body needs and how a body works and that we actually do need meat, and then you're not spiritual anymore, you know? You're thinking too much with the mind. You should flow with the plasma. Yeah, it's really ridiculous, you know? I laugh at it now, but these people are in hell because I was in hell and I was gone with it, you know? I believed it. I was so weak in my mind and my body that I swallowed all that crap. Like, I mean, now I would just like, what the? But then, yeah, I believe that. And I wholeheartedly hope that the people who are following him, that they just really escape him, hopefully alive. You know, because in the group that, first of all, when I started in 2011, nobody that I started to follow him with then, my friends then, nobody's following him anymore because all of them started to feel physical problems that would only get worse continuing their diet, this diet. Another thing is that when we started back in 2011, the idea was that we would struggle for 2-3 years and then we would start to feel better because that's the detox. Obviously, after 2-3 years, we weren't getting better. We were getting sicker. So what did he say? Oh, but people today, they're so sick, it will now take 5-6 years. After 5-6 years, none of us were getting better. We were still getting worse. And so now it's 7-8 years. And that's also the comment I'm getting now. If I put my experience out there, that's from the young people now who follow Dr. Mars. Yeah, but you weren't doing it long enough. It takes 9 years. And I'm like, yeah, I know that story. It doesn't take 9 years. You know, that you'll be dead in 9 years. That's what you'll be if you follow it, you know, so.
What about before the Fruitarian? Did you take any supplements before?
No.
Okay.
Simply because there was no internet. and you had to like sort of, I didn't have internet, so I didn't know about nutrition. I di- it's like I really come from the dinosaur era, but there was no internet in 2005, or I wasn't looking for it. I wasn't sick enough yet. I mean, it's now when people's awareness about, the agriculture is not good and we need a bit of supplements or something like, I don't know. But no, I never took supplements. I did homeopathy a little bit, but not for a long time because it wasn't helping me. And like I said, I did the Reiki, I did tarot reading, I did angel readings, hoping that some magical thing would heal me. But
You would probably be
uh,
even worse off because they are all toxic. It's all a scam anyway. But I was just curious.
yeah, well, right now I do sometimes take like a vitamin or something, like because I do a hair, like I follow a nutritional balancing program. It is helping me. It's not necessarily, I did the raw meat uh, for a while after I stopped the fruitarian and vegan thing, but my body was so destroyed that it could actually not handle the fat and the meat. I had to really slow down with a more like cooked vegetables and a little bit of meat and a little bit of fat and build it up. I was, my body was simply shutting down with all the raw meat
So what do
and
you take now? What vitamin you said?
I do it based on a hair test. So it's like I get a hair test every 6 months, and then they see what I'm low in and what I'm high in, and then based on that, because if you like, nobody knows in advance if you have high zinc, for example, and you just go to the store and you take a zinc supplement, you're gonna make it infinitely worse. It's not so good to just do it randomly. I did in the past, like the last 2, 3 years when I was doing the veganism, I bought every month 400 euro worth of supplements and superfoods, and it just made everything so much worse. It made everything so much worse. And I didn't take any supplements then for a while. And then when I started following the nutritional balancing program, I started to take a few supplements, but only based on a hair mineral test, not like random supplementing, not at all, and very little. Because most of it I get out of my food. I love lamb, I love sardines, I love chicken, beef sometimes, but it's not my favorite. I prefer lamb somehow. I eat cooked vegetables, but only the low carb. I'm not doing potatoes or anything like that. I don't eat any grains. I don't eat any nuts. I don't. So it's like kind of paleo, and it seems to work pretty well for me. But as I said, I still have um, a way of recovery ahead because so much damage, that you can't imagine that, it's, yeah. But it was a good lesson. I learned a lot of things about what is going on in the world and what, yeah, you can't just go online and read some study and then, oh yeah, this is it. Because a lot of times when I have a discussion with, vegans, like, yeah, but I've done all the studying online. And I'm like, yeah, I know you have, except it's not right. It doesn't work out. Somebody's lying to you. But then, of course, they say the same thing about us, that our scientific data is wrong too. So it's difficult. But I know from experience, and if I see, like, I've been in these communities and I've seen what veganism does to people. I mean, even if they're not falling apart yet physically, immediately or quite fast, they will become psychotic. They will become angry and nervous because they're not getting the right nutrients for their nervous system. Even if they're on a cooked vegan diet, they have this idea that they have to change the whole world before they will become happy, which obviously will never happen. So these people walk around depressed all day, trying to be militant, trying to hate their own kind for being meat eater, which is what we were designed to eat, It's sad. It's a whole mind clusterfuck, It's designed to fail. And I get it. I mean, nobody likes to watch these videos of slaughterhouses, and I wish it would be like back in the day, just hunting and killing your animal. That would be fresh and nice, and I try my best to buy from, good sources, not these feedlot meats.
You said that
But if
it's designed to fail. Do you believe that somebody's behind it, or where is it?
yeah, yes, I
So,
would have to say yes, because by now it should be known how destructive it is, and someone is or something is just sweeping that under the rug, and they're still promoting it. I can see it on the news. They're promoting these kind of vegan, or like even on Belgian television, like vegan sausages as an ad. Of course, they're going with the hype, and some companies are trying to make a buck. But I mean, the whole thing, even in the 70s, when they said that meat is bad and you should eat toast instead and all the sugar instead. Come on, somebody should have known that that was a mistake. I think they know that it's not healthy.
and where do you think it's heading?
But I think people are going to have a hard lesson with their own bodies. Um, I hope they're going to wake up. I don't really know where it's heading. Obviously, it's just there, and it's so popular on the internet, and there's a lot of young kids falling for it. And they on their own make a lot of noise about it. So there's probably a lot of kids that are going to do it and follow it. But I mean, there's no other way that you will feel the consequences at some point. Most of them that are doing good with it and are making a lot of noise with it are in their 20s. But what happens when you're 30? Or what happens when you're 40?
Well, that's what you gotta think about. The internet was made for young people, and YouTube is basically the new TV, and it's promoted mostly by YouTube, so they know that the young people are gonna watch it. Because if they would show veganism on TV, the older people wouldn't fall for it. People are pretty stupid, but not that stupid. So this is how it was created. It was made
Yeah,
for the internet.
yeah, probably, yeah. It's just sad because it's going to set back the health of a lot of young people. And it's not just the health, it just changes their minds. There's something, I noticed that in these groups and with myself too. Like you become irritable, angry, weak. I was constantly angry. I didn't, and if I ask myself, why are you actually angry? Well, I don't know. It's just malnutrition, and it's toxicity from that. There's no nutrition in these fruits. I mean, these fruits, by the way, have been hybridized so badly in the last 100 years. They are now 10 times bigger than they used to be, and their sugar content is sky high. They're sweeter than candy, I think, almost. I mean, a glass of orange juice has the same amount of sugar than Coca-Cola. That should say enough, And it's fructose. It's the same level of destructive as Coca-Cola. That's just it. Fructose is not. It's a poison, So it makes people, too much sugar makes people crazy, Too many carbs makes people too stimulated and they're going for burnout,
Do you know about the apes who eat ripe bananas and then they go and kill? They go on a killing spree? So
I
this
heard
is
some,
it's the same as people when they drink alcohol, which is fermented sugar. They go and they fight.
yeah,
So it literally
yeah,
makes you crazy and you want to kill.
yeah. Well, I notice, like I have my dad, he drinks beer only in the evening, alcohol quite a bit, and I notice there's a huge difference in his behavior at night when he comes home from the bar or in the day. Uh, in the day he's really like calm and collected, and then at night he's aggressive. Yeah, sugar, that's really, it should be forbidden. It's the reason of all illness is sugar, not meat or obviously there's bad meat out there, but that's what they do on purpose, right? Like these processed meats are not healthy, obviously, but the real enemy is the high carbs, the processed foods, and the sugar. Sugar is like pure poison. So yeah, yeah,
Anything else you
yeah.
want to add?
I don't know. I
Any
think
story? Or you could say something to vegans if you want to close it.
to vegans.
Yeah, if anybody is watching.
Well, I just hope that oh yeah, there's one other thing that they always like to take this example of Okinawans or like these tiny little tribes somewhere in the south or in the north that were mostly plant-based. And you know what? Here's the catchword, mostly. I believe that human beings can do fairly well on both omnivore and carnivore diets, provided there's no sugar and processed foods involved. But the thing is that they want to make you believe that Okinawans or something were vegan. They were not vegan, okay? They were eating according to season. All the wild tribes from any study ever done, they regarded meat as a superfood, as a very important food, even though some might have not lived on it as a whole diet, but there's almost zero vegan communities except some in India for religious purposes, but that's it. And most of the time, they're quite angry people because they always mix up this religious shit with veganism as if you're a better human being.
I gotta link you
Like,
something about the Okinawans because they ate a mostly saturated fat diet. They didn't
yeah.
eat a plant-based diet at all, not even close to it.
Well, there's this debate that before 1940 or something, they were more plant-based, and after 1940. But the thing is, apparently there was also a mix-up because they went in a certain season the first time, and it was the low season, so they were eating more vegetables. But then a later time, they would go back, and they were suddenly eating all these pork, and all the fat. And
I've done so much research on the longest living humans. All of them eat a high-fat diet. There's absolutely no exceptions to this. And the
yeah,
mental illness part of the vegans is that they actually believe that humans in nature would choose to eat plants over animals, which no human would ever do in nature. We always choose the animals over plants.
well, it's a really necessary food. We don't have a choice. You can't be herbivore and be healthy. If you want to have a long life of mental illness and an early death and degeneration, go be vegan, but it's not worth it. You may feel good for a while because you're suddenly on a high sugar diet, and sugar really makes you feel nice for a while, but that's the same with heroin or whatever drug, It makes you feel nice and then you're on a trip, but underneath your body is falling apart, and you're looking at a very. And yeah, there's a few exceptions of, look, this dude is 100 years and he's been vegan for, I don't know, 60 years. But how many of them are there? Like on the whole world, maybe 5? And another thing is that Norman Walker, this dude was one of these older vegans as well. Well, they caught him eating meat, Behind the scenes, they can't live just on plant foods. You need to eat meat. Either they lie about it or there are a few exceptions, but they're like the minority. They're not even 0.00001% of population, not even.
That's the thing.
And
Veganism is such a new thing, and they believe that people have been vegan for decades, but
bullshit. That's
uh,
that's not
I
true.
think I know who you mean, but the guy, he mostly ate meat most of his life. Then he went vegetarian and probably ate a high dairy diet, and then he went vegan for a few years, and now they count him as 100-year-old, even though he's been eating a high-fat diet all of his life. And that interview was years ago, so who the hell knows? He probably quit right after anyway.
It doesn't. Yeah, I don't know, but it doesn't. I mean, there's no point in looking up to just a handful of people. And then even if they make a video, as we discussed before, even if they make a video about how cool they're doing, you don't really know how they're doing. They will not tell you the truth because all of them are lying. So, yeah. If you're vegan, stop being vegan. I mean, it's not worth it. Life is not about food. They're all obsessed with food, and there's so much more to life than food, When I was a vegan and fruitarian, I was thinking about the next meal every day. I was thinking about food all day. I was watching what I eat in a day videos all day. I mean, I was exploding. My stomach was exploding with food, and I was still dreaming of food.
Yeah, that's
I
why
don't
they
know.
are obsessed with making those videos.
Oh yeah, they're obsessed. It's an
And I
obsession.
never think about food at all.
Oh no, me neither. Oh no, not ever. I feel satisfied with what I eat, and so the rest of the day I can do other things. you know. So that's life. Life is not about food. Food is just a fuel, nothing more, you know. So, yeah. And you're not going to ascend anywhere. You're not a better human being because you're a vegan. That's the final message. You're not a better human being. You can't just, you know, spread around all this anger towards your fellow human being, pretending you're better because you're a vegan. That's bullshit. You know, you're nothing. I mean, you're not better. I mean, learn to love your own kind and learn to appreciate who you are and how you're made, and that'll be a better thing. You
They
know?
set their own rules because it's a religion. It makes sense to them that they are better because they believe in the bad and good, which
Yeah,
they made up
they have,
themselves. So it's the same for any
they have to
Christian.
do that. Keep. They have to do that to keep going with the suffering, because otherwise they're not suffering. They're suffering for no reason. So they have to have a goal or a reason, but it's not gonna lead anywhere nice or good. So, yeah.
Thank you.